I'm so glad I checked because I was not recording. I was speaking for like 10 minutes and I didn't catch none of it. I didn't catch any one of it. And thankfully so, because I just blew my nose and it was some nasty stuff. So I'm recovering from a cold and I've got a stuffy nose. I spent the last 48 hours basically just in my bed trying to sleep off this cold, and it helped because today I'm feeling a bit better. I'm still stuffy, still breaking all that down. I was just talking So I was just talking for like 10 minutes about the fact that this should be a video. This should be a video going into week 8. The last check-in with myself was 2 weeks ago as I was entering week 6, and I had a little bit of a snafu in the last 2 weeks. Despite the fact that I have not written my artist pages since the 28th of April, and it is the 10th of May. Despite the fact that I was not getting up, and I even had them with me like every day. This notebook was coming with me every day, but I was not writing. And I'm still not totally understanding why I was having such a rebellious week and resistance. And I think a lot of it has to do with the topic. So week 6 was all about abundance, right? And there were a couple of tasks. So actually, I wanted to say, despite the fact that I hadn't been writing, I had a really good week, a good 2 weeks actually. So what means good? Like as far as like artist growth, there were a lot of really wonderful things that happened. I just came home a couple of days ago. I was in Berlin for 4 days at the GEMA conference, and GEMA is it's the professional rights organization. It's kind of like ASCAP or BMI, but in Germany. And basically, what it is like a whole family around the whole country. It's like a whole family of artists, creative beings, people working with labels, A&R, everybody like in the industry, including the artists, obviously, because we are the heart, the blood force, the life force of the industry itself. And so I had a wonderful time. I had a couple of days of workshops and networking, and I was sleeping in these like bungalows in Neukölln. So I just had there was no warm water. It was just such a wonderful, crazy week, and I'm honestly a little disappointed with myself for not having written my morning pages because I would have loved to be able to eventually like read back on what I was actually going through every day. So I'm glad to feel that right now because I'm recognizing like when I don't have my morning pages, I notice how much I miss them. And they really are such an important tool. I don't know if I actually had an artist date in the last week. I don't even really know what else happened in my life, but I know that there was some good stuff and there was some hard stuff. Yeah, health wise, I think I had a pretty rough time. And then, yeah, it was a pretty rough time. But I don't even remember where I left off, honestly. I just know that week 6, like I should be going to week 8, but I basically just was stuck on 6 for 2 weeks and then kind of resisted all of it. I'm gonna have some boogers and some creepy noises, so that's normal. That's just we are. I'm not the only one who's caught this virus going around, but I am definitely more susceptible in general. So here we go. All right, because if I don't do this today, I don't know when I'm gonna do it. And it's been 2 weeks since the last video, so come on. I recognize that one of the things that felt uncomfortable for me with the morning pages was that I finished one notebook, I finished a notebook, and then I switched to a second one. I don't. I'm just gonna have to ignore. I don't care how my voice sounds. I gotta say what I gotta say, and this is for me. I switched notebooks, and I feel like that had some kind of a subconscious effect on me where I was so used to getting up with this notebook, and then I switched. So this one felt foreign. This one, even just holding them in my hands right now, like this one feels more comfortable to me, and this one's like empty, and I don't know. So getting used to a new notebook, I feel like that was I should have just started with a thicker one in the beginning. I don't know. Maybe it's just an excuse. Week 6 was all about abundance, and I did do the task of writing about the God I believe in and the God I would like to believe in, but I feel like that's a pretty easy thing for me to do now, and especially after I shared in the last video, I set up my prayer corner. Oh, I got some burps today. Oh my gosh, and I think the microphone's picking up everything. So I've set up my prayer corner, and even though like I pray wherever I go. So it's not just like I don't only go into that corner when I need to pray, but I do appreciate having that space. And I've also like written more, and um, I've spent more time here, but just in general, it's like been such a good reminder to spend more time praying, and to integrate that into my daily life. So it's not like while I was in the train, or in another space, it's not like I can't pray until I come back to my prayer corner, but then taking the time to really set it up really helped to remind me of how powerful and important prayer is. And God has really answered some of my prayers. So I don't want to get too stuck on week 6. I almost feel like I need to just I need to just move on from it. But at the same time, it's like I didn't actually complete week 6. So another task, this is where I stumbled, was meticulously tracking all money spent. And I did that for about 2 days. And then I think it's because of like living in a card economy where I'm I'm not the only one, it's like things like bills get automatically paid, and then money is like it's my phone. My wallet is my phone, and tapping my phone, and everything's automatic. And then when I pay, it's usually with card, but I was using some cash for some things. And honestly, I really just I could learn a lot. I have so much still to learn about financial responsibility and being mindful and budgeting. And theoretically, I know the things, but yeah, I was resisting tracking my finances. I was resisting taking an honest look at what I was spending my money on, because the first thing that I bought was a burger. I had cravings. And I know it's also where I was on my menstrual cycle. And I was like, I need a burger. So I was laying at home and I ordered a burger. And let me tell you, that burger was not even good. It was not good. Okay, so that's where I was. And the interesting thing about the week 6, which lasted 2 weeks, was there were 3 different things around the number 5 that I was meant to do, which I didn't do. And I would still like to do those things. So the first was to collect 5 flowers or leaves. It's about everyday luxury, not about brand name purses and cars and things like that, but everyday luxury, like, excuse me, um luxury, like sitting in the quiet, sitting in peace and quiet, and enjoying my coffee, my favorite way, to make my coffee, and to sit and to just like enjoy peace and quiet and not have any sense of being rushed, and to drink the coffee and to really enjoy every sip. Like, that's luxury in a world is which revolves around like moving as quickly as possible, getting coffee on the go, always gambling, not knowing how that coffee is actually going to taste, and overpaying for a cup of coffee. Um, this cup of coffee tastes, I think it cost me less than, if I really had to count, I don't know, like 40 cents or something like that, including everything. Uh, But it's not about the price, it's about the luxury of time, and space. Okay. So, a lot of this week was about my relationship. Like, a lot of the abundance focus is about current attitudes in relationship to money and resources. And it's just, it's so funny because I love these points of like God is extravagant and generous, and art is born in expansion, and it requires empowering ourselves with choice. So I want to share. I think that's enough, because I want to move on, and I want to read also week 7. And I just, I'm never gonna move. I'm never gonna get through these weeks if I keep stumbling. This is the second week where I've stumbled, and I'm like, I didn't get through it. And instead of visiting week 6. I just feel like let's keep it moving. Let's go on to 7. I feel like subconsciously in the everyday, I did internalize a lot of these points, and I did already get to go through this week 6 for 2 weeks. So, a lot of things happen. I kind of just want to talk off the top of my head, and I have other notebooks that help me here. So, the biggest thing that happened in the last 2 weeks was going to the GEMA conference, and this was such an amazing experience. There were so many wonderful serendipitous things that happened. I was worried going into this week because I had a pretty rough health week before the conference started, and I was just really praying that I would have enough energy to get through it. I did get through it, but as soon as I woke up on the last day, it was like the last day for the members conference, like the very last day with voting, the official part. I'm not an official member yet. You have to be a part of it for like 5 years and earn a certain amount. But the point was, I decided on the 4th day to actually just go home because I woke up and I was like, I'm sick, or I have an infection, and I'm already like very um, like with my chronic illness, like I'm very much, I just had an infection like a couple weeks ago, so I get sick more. It's easier for me to get like sick, and it's so crazy because I was like, it was a wonderful performance, but there was a showcase on the last night, and there were 2 artists, and they were super sick, like coughing, red faced, and they were like, "We're sick, but we're gonna perform," and I was like, "Please!" And I was in the front row, and I was like, "Please, no!" I'm not gonna say it was them, and they had really wonderful music, but I just, and it's just like every time I'm in big spaces with a lot of people, and I'm, going through sleepless nights. I didn't really eat that much generally for the couple of days because I was, dependent upon the catering, so I wasn't really like eating outside of my eating was like not consistent, and I didn't really have breakfast every day. I was just kind of getting up, grabbing a granola bar and 2 pieces of fruit and going. So the point is, like, it was a perfect storm for me to get sick, and like right after like I got up on the 4th day, I was like, I just need to go home. And I went home, and then like 2 days, like the last couple of days, I've just slept and just have been like a booger monster. Let me double check. The booger monster, super. Um, so it was no surprise that I got like this cold. I got a cold right after. Um, but the beautiful thing was, I want to start with a highlight. Okay, um, on the 3rd day, I'll go back. I'll work backwards on the 3rd day because this was the most important thing that happened, and just showed me, oh, I'm such a booger. I got to do it. Oh, so gross, but I gotta swallow it. Okay. So on the last day, this was the highlight. I I needed to sleep a little bit longer. The program started at 10:30. I was like, I need to sleep a little longer. I didn't sleep well. The bungalows were super cute, but my bed was hard. I didn't feel well rested. Um, and so when I got up in the morning, I was like, let me just let myself go a little slower. And I have to do that anyway. Most of the time, like, I really just have to listen to my body. And so I let myself stay in bed a little longer. And I was like, I'll show up at noon, because it's fine. It's not like, I mean, you get out of it what you put into it. And like, I knew that it was okay for me to come a little bit later and just integrate myself. But because I got up later, I showed up. Also, it was raining hard, so it was like so cozy. I didn't want to get out. Or doesn't matter. Don't need to make excuses because it was such a good thing. I got there around 11:45, 12 o'clock. I went to it was in the Atelier Gardens in the southeast of Berlin, and there was like all these big um, buildings, and in each building there was something different going on, and there were different like working groups and just a program. Like, it was so lovely, this whole experience. And so I decided to go into the new space. I just gravitated to like the kind of info center, and they had a bunch of tables with people who work with GEMA, and there was a lot of information. And I went in there and I just naturally gravitated to one table, to one stand. And I was talking to these wonderful women, and I just arrived. And then I was like, let me just stay here for a minute. Once again, just like in the last video, following the natural impulse. There's a follow up from the last video, but I'm all over the place. So talk to the women at the stand, and then I kind of turn around, and then another woman was like, hey, I'm doing surveys, do you have 2 minutes? And I was like, yeah. And I talked with her. I did this survey, and then I asked a question, and he was like, let me take you to my colleague. And then I talked to her colleague, and then I had another question, and then she was like, let me take you to my colleague. And then I went to a colleague. Shout out to Oliver. And I forget, I'm so sorry, there was a really wonderful and colorful woman, well dressed, with Oliver, and they were working at the station about the webinars and showcases. And Oliver was a part of One Step Backwards. The first night there was like a jam session. Both all nights there was a jam session going on because we need it, you know. And I hope that wherever there's a collection of musicians, there will be also jam session. So I met Oliver through the jam session the first night, and then back to the third morning. And then I was like, hey, yeah, I've been looking on the website for like showcases, and but I never find one, and sessions, creative sessions. And he was like, oh, there's a session going on upstairs right now. You should go up there. Um, and so I was like, thanks, Oliver. I go upstairs to the session, and there were a couple of folks in the room. And it took a little while to get things going. I went back down. It wasn't starting yet. Went back down, grabbed some food, came back up. And then one of the most special and sacred experiences, I'm going to be honest, in my artistic life took place. I was graced with the presence and the creative like this creative concoction of experience and yeah, of skill and just general creativity, um, of Emmy, Sophia, and Dennis. We made a session together. I was not even planned for this session. I'd actually applied, but I wasn't. I wasn't accepted to it. And but through all of these, like through happenstance, I was in the space, and we got to know each other for a little while. We were showing each other our music, and then we got into a creative flow together. And then 4 or 5 hours later, we created a demo. Emmy and Sophia were songwriting. Sophia also put some vocals on the track. I was singing, and Dennis was like working his magic on the production. And we came up with this song, and it's in the vault. I'm not going to release it until I want to release it in a strategic way because I already have like the third single for my album that's going to be released in 3 weeks. And next week, that's The World Is Still Watching. And next week, actually, I think tomorrow or in a couple of days, my live session with Tunes and Tastes is also going to be released. And that's for the song Hyperventilation. So not everything has to be like immediately thrown out there. And I really want to, I don't even want to say the name of it yet, but this one is in the vault. And so it's like, wow, another, you know, Lord, thank you so much, because if I had gotten out of bed, if I hadn't listened to my body and to the impulses of like stay in bed a little longer, I wouldn't have gotten to the info session that led me to this and led me to that and led me to that. And like everything was just a stream of spontaneity and serendipity, actually. And I was so proud. We had like a listening session after, and it was such a wonderful day. And like really all praise be to God, because I could never have imagined that things were going to happen like that. And it just turned into like um it's not so much about like an exchange between people, like what can you do for me, you know, but it was like because I don't see networking as just like what can you do for me, but more of like how can we come together and create something and support one another and bring like give value to one another, you know, and learn from each other. And through this session, like I got to also meet wonderful artists and got to also grow and experience something new. Like I've never had a session with strangers where there was no song. Like we had no, there was nothing. Dennis had a beat, you know, and we had like melodies, and then we started writing the lyrics, and we were working all together. Like I've never had that experience in a room with multiple people. I've only ever done like this, like with Mia and with Nuri, with the two producers I'm working with for my album. Like we've had this creative exchange between us, but I've never actually worked with other songwriters on a song. And just so amazing. Like super shout out again to Emmy and Sophia, because y'all brought out like components of my voice and components in the text, like actually in the writing, where I would have, I don't know that I would have tapped into that aspect of my voice, and or tapped into the way the phrasings and the like the melodic phrasing. So it was really just such a wonderful team effort. Let me just double check, but I should have enough. Very good. Wow. So, a demo. There was a demo that came out of that, and I'm really so proud. I'm so thankful for the last couple of days, because I got to meet such wonderful people, and I got to. It was my first time actually getting in touch with the industry in itself. So I learned a lot about how like the disparity between, you know, me sitting at home and like making my reels or being in the studio and like doing this kind of isolated work, and then plugging the disparity between that and plugging into the actual industry in itself. And it just helped me to understand like so much more about all of my own potential. So um, being a session vocalist, for example, like that's something that I would be very much interested in. And I something changed in me where I was like, I love to write my own songs. It's kind of like this, it's kind of like this thing that I had for so many years with singing cover songs. Like I still kind of have a blockage where I'm like, I only want to sing my own songs. I only want to perform my own songs. But I may be limiting myself by saying like no cover songs. It always has to be my original stuff. You know, it might be even a little bit of pride. It might be pride. Whereas it was kind of similar with being a session vocalist. I was like, no, I only want to sing on my own songs, but I'm limiting myself, because how wonderful would it to be to contribute my vocals to another person's song. So I definitely want to explore that more, and yeah, just kind of get over this blockage where it's like me, because it's never me. You know, this whole industry is like an ecosystem of creative exchange. Here we go again. Ah, I think in about 2 days I'll be back. Okay. I took so many notes. I took so many notes. Wow. Oh my goodness. And there was so much that I learned that I can directly like take with me. I don't understand how people it's just my way of learning, but I never really understood how people could sit in on like a whole workshop or a talk or a seminar or a panel and not take notes, because I think it's just my way of learning, but I took so many notes. Oh god. Like I literally have like I filled up half of this book with notes. And I the thing I took with me, I took a lot of questions. So for example, which message do I communicate as an artist? There were a couple of tools that I took with me. For example, like in relationship to social media, why should people follow my account specifically? What kind of value do I give them? Especially, which value can they not find anywhere else, only with me, you know? So these are some kind of questions. Obviously, I learned a lot about like social media. There was this um, the first day was like a creator summit, which was so sweet. I mean, geez Louise, like, oh, I really got so much value out of these couple of days, and then also talking about Oliver, sweet man, he was like, we're looking for ambassadors also for Gema, and I would, would you like to be a part of it? And I was like, yes. He's like, it's a program that hasn't started yet, but he took my email, and I hope that'll turn into something. And it just felt like, like I said, it's not about like what can I get out of this, but it's more about like tapping into a family and a community where I didn't even really know that it existed before. And I feel like I've been like swimming the last years like by myself, completely oh, like disconnected from the actual industry, like the actual ecosystem where music really is happening. And I feel like it was such an insight that I had, especially just with like how much I need to take care of myself health wise, where I recognize like I love jam sessions, but being in the jam space isn't always the most beneficial thing for me. Sitting, whether it's at home or in the studio or in a cafe, like being in a space where I'm intentionally songwriting and I have a goal in mind, and I'm sitting and I'm practicing and I'm creating something that is like has a certain structure and can be produced and can be published, like that for me, really building up my catalog has so much more value. But at the same time, jam sessions and improvisation, they have their own thing. Like that's already an important thing in itself. It's kind of similar to the question of like I participated 3 times in the last year in 777, this artist showcase. And from that showcase, I got really quality videos, really good, really high quality videos of my performance. It's not a paid thing, but I got these great videos and I got in front of a new audience and like, oh, I'm thinking of like 1,000 to dos, but all in God's time. So it's not always about like, can I get paid from this? Or obviously, like financial security and stability has to be a pillar in the future. It has to be because I want to do this full time and I want it to be a sustainable, vertically integrated ecosystem. No question about it. But it's not like I can still get value out of a performance even if it's not paid, whether it's a video, getting in front of a new audience, uh, gaining new material, doing a live recording, whatever it is, um, practicing something new when it comes to my stage setup. So those are all really valuable things. And I think I have to come to a close because my throat is getting a little, and I'm kind of, I know my voice sounds different outside of my head, but I'm a little, when I get all like my voice sounds like this inside my head. So let me double check we're still recording and then I'll come to a close. This is why eventually this is why that's why eventually it's gonna be so nice to have a team. Okay. Oh, almost fell down. Two things I don't know how many things, but one really cool thing I realized is for my album, because now that I've added a 7th song, it's technically an album. An album just honestly sounds more intentional and serious than an EP, but it's okay. It's a mini album. It's still an album though. I really have to stop talking because my nose is like blah blah blah. Okay. I got in touch with folks who are making I'm really excited. So I'm not gonna be I was thinking a lot about merch for my album, and as I know, as you know, I'm not publishing my music on Spotify. Eventually, I want to get away from all of the big distributors and I just want to do direct to consumer. Ooh. But the industry is shifting in that way. I know streaming is always going to be a thing, but like, y'all know the numbers. I know the numbers and I see it's not sustainable. So, hindsight 2020, I definitely want to diversify the. That's also, I'm thinking of so many things. That's also the thing about diversifying income streams and diversifying um, my skill set. So, like, at the end of this month, just real quick, that's the thing about like being a session vocalist. And at the end of this month, I'm doing a workshop about unblocking creativity, like based on my own experiences. So, these are the kind of things where when I just diversify, the things that I do, it's just going to be more sustainable. So I'm not counting on streaming to bring me income, but I think I'm so excited because I got clarity. But I don't think I should say everything now. I think actually what I really need, I'm going to close here. What I really need is just like to take a beat. I got sick right after, so I was just like laid in my bed, like, but what I really need is just like some peace to process everything that happened. I literally took so many notes. I got so many pages. It needs to be organized. I need to internalize everything that happened. And this week already, I'm doing the photo shoot with Lucas for my album cover art. I think I have to close here because my nose is so stuffy. I'm just gonna close and say to be continued. I'm back on track. I'm just gonna start with week 7. I'm about to read it, and the journey continues. So that's enough. I'm done.